They laughed at her, whispered behind her back, and even sneered when she fumbled with her papers at the bank counter. The elderly woman, with silver hair neatly tied into a bun and hands trembling from age, quietly tried to organize her withdrawal slip. Her thin shawl wrapped tightly around her frail shoulders, and her spectacles slid down the bridge of her nose as she squinted at the small numbers. The people around her scoffed, muttering how slow and old-fashioned she was. No one noticed the quiet dignity in her eyes, the lifetime of sacrifices etched into every wrinkle of her face. They mocked her without realizing the storm of influence she carried silently, the storm that would change everything in ways they never imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of respect, make sure to like this video, comment your thoughts, share with someone who needs a reminder of humanity, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more inspiring stories. Maria, as she was called, had spent her entire life in service of her family. Widowed young, she worked tirelessly to raise her only child, Clara, teaching her the value of integrity, hard work, and compassion. Every penny saved, every meal cooked late into the night, and every tear shed silently for her daughter's future had been an investment in a dream no one in that crowded bank could ever see. Yet, here she was, standing in line, waiting her turn, feeling the cold indifference of strangers sharpened like knives. She had come to the bank to deposit a small check, a meager sum compared to the empire her daughter had built, but to Maria, it was a symbol of her independence, her small victory in a life full of challenges. The bank teller, young and impatient, sighed loudly as Maria struggled to find her identification card. Her hands shook as she handed over her documents, and the teller rolled her eyes, muttering, "This is going to take forever." Maria felt a pang of humiliation, her face burning, but she stayed calm. She had endured worse, years of menial jobs, endless rejections, and the heartbreak of being underestimated. Yet, this moment cut differently because it came from strangers who didn't even know the depth of her story. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that her dignity was not measured by their laughter. Around her, people whispered and chuckled, some even taking out their phones to record, thinking this was some form of public entertainment. The room seemed to shrink, and every mocking glance felt like a heavy hand pressing against her shoulders. Maria's heart ached, but her eyes remained steady. In her mind, she replayed the countless lessons she had instilled in Clara, to rise above cruelty, to respond to ignorance with grace, and to remember that true power was not in wealth or recognition but in character. She smiled faintly, even as her spirit quivered under the weight of ridicule. What they didn't know was that Clara, her daughter, was sitting just a few miles away, in the corner office of a skyscraper that bore the name of her company. She had built a multi-million-dollar tech enterprise from scratch, driven by the values her mother had taught her. Clara had been taught to notice the world's injustices, to fight for fairness, and to honor those who had paved the way for her success. Today, however, Clara had no idea that her mother was about to face humiliation at the very place she herself would soon influence. As Maria finally reached the counter, a small mistake caused the teller to frown. She accidentally handed over a check from the wrong account, and the teller snapped, "You really should pay more attention." The surrounding customers snickered, pointing fingers and whispering cruel remarks. At that moment, Maria felt a surge of sorrow and exhaustion. She closed her eyes briefly, thinking of the long nights she had worked, the sacrifices she had made silently, and the love she had poured into a daughter who had now become the woman of her dreams. Suddenly, a soft click of high heels echoed in the hall. Heads turned as Clara entered the bank, dressed impeccably in a tailored navy suit, her presence commanding attention without effort. Her gaze swept the room, and when it landed on her mother, she froze for a heartbeat, recognizing the figure she had nurtured and adored. Clara moved quickly toward the counter, her voice calm but firm. "Excuse me, I believe my mother needs some assistance." The room went silent as people slowly recognized the connection. Whispers erupted. This was the CEO of the largest tech company in the city, and the woman being mocked was her mother. Clara gently took Maria's hand, guiding her away from the counter, and turned to the teller and the mocking crowd. There was no anger in her voice, only a quiet, commanding authority that froze everyone in place. "This is my mother," she said, "and she deserves the same respect you would give anyone else." The atmosphere shifted instantly, the laughter evaporating into awkward murmurs. People avoided her eyes, suddenly aware of the weight of their behavior. Maria, overwhelmed by emotion, could barely speak. Her daughter's presence was a shield, a validation of every struggle she had endured, and a reminder that kindness and patience were never wasted. As they left the bank, Maria's eyes glistened with tears. Clara held her close, whispering, "You've always been my hero, Mom. Never forget that." In that moment, Maria realized that the world might mock her, but her life's work, the values she had instilled, the love she had given, and the dignity she had preserved, had created ripples stronger than any sneer could ever diminish. Life continued, but Maria's courage that day became a quiet legend. Bank employees, customers, and even strangers who had witnessed the scene learned an unspoken lesson: humility and grace are never signs of weakness, and true power often lies hidden beneath unassuming appearances. Maria returned home that evening, her spirit lightened, her heart full, knowing that respect and love were the currencies that mattered most. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video. Comment below to share your thoughts or your own experiences of witnessing kindness, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness to inspire more hearts today. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. Comment how you think the world can learn to respect every individual, no matter their appearance or age.